This is the besorah. I am going to read to you from BARASHITH Genesis 5 to BARASHITH Genesis 8. Holy Elohim, I thank you. I praise you. I give the glory to you. I know you bless us as we do this together. Starting at verse 1. This is the book of the genealogy of Adam. In the yom that Elohim created man, he made him in the likeness of Elohim. Male and female he created them, and he blessed them, and he called their name Adam. In the yom that they were created. And Adam lived 130 years, and brought forth a son in his own likeness, after his image, and called his name Sheth. And after he brought forth Sheth, the yomim of Adam were 800 years. And he brought forth sons and daughters. So all the yomim that Adam lived were 930 years. And he died. And Sheth lived 105 years, and brought forth Enosh. And after he brought forth Enosh, Sheth lived 807 years, and brought forth sons and daughters. So all the yomim of Sheth were 912 years, and he died. And Enosh lived 90 years, and brought forth Kenan. And after he brought forth Kenan, Enosh lived 815 years, and brought forth sons and daughters. So all the yomim of Enosh were 905 years, and he died. And Kenan lived 70 years, and brought forth Mahalalel. And after he brought forth Mahalalel, Kenan lived 840 years, and brought forth sons and daughters. So all the yomim of Kenan were 910 years, and he died. And Mahalalel lived 65 years, and brought forth Yared. And after he brought forth Yared, Mahalalel lived 830 years. And he brought forth sons and daughters. So all the yomim of Mahalalel were 895 years, and he died. And Yared lived 162 years, and brought forth Canak. And after he brought forth Canak, Yared lived 800 years. And he brought forth sons and daughters. So all the yomim of Yared were 962 years, and he died. And Canak lived 65 years, and brought forth Methuselah. And after he brought forth Methuselah, Canak walked with Elohim 300 years, and brought forth sons and daughters. So all the Yomim of Canak were 365 years. And Canak walked with Elohim. Then he was no more, for Elohim took him. And Methuselah lived 187 years, and brought forth Lamech. And after he brought forth Lamech, Methuselah lived 782 years, and brought forth sons and daughters. So all the Yomim of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. And Lamech lived 182 years, and brought forth a son, and called his name Noach, saying, This one does comfort us concerning our work, and the toil of our hands, because of the ground which Yahuwah has cursed. And after he brought forth Noach, Lamech lived 595 years, and brought forth sons and daughters. So all the Yomim of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. And Noach was 500 years old. And Noach brought forth Shem, Ham, and Japheth. That is the end of Barashith Genesis 5. This is Barashith Genesis 6. And it came to be, when men began to increase on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, that the sons of Elohim saw the daughters of men, that they were good, and they took wives for themselves of all whom they chose. And Yahuwah said, My RUACH shall not strive with man forever in his going astray. He is flesh, and his Yomim shall be 120 years. The Nephilim, the fallen ones, were on the earth in those Yomim, and also afterward, when the sons of Elohim came in to the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. Those were the mighty men who were of old, the men of name. And Yahuwah saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And Yahuwah was sorry that he had made man on the earth, and he was grieved in his heart. And Yahuwah said, I am going to wipe off man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, creeping creature and birds of the Shemayim. For I am sorry that I have made them. But Noach found favor in the eyes of Yahuwah. This is the genealogy of Noach. Noach was an obedient man, perfect in his generations. Noach walked with Elohim, and Noach brought forth 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And the earth was corrupt before Elohim, and the earth was filled with violence. And Elohim looked upon the eretz and saw that it was corrupt. For all flesh had corrupted their way on the eretz. And Elohim said to Noah, the end of all flesh has come before me, for the eretz is filled with violence through them. And see, I am going to destroy them from the eretz. Make yourself an ark of gopher wood. Make rooms in the ark, and cover it inside and outside with tar. And this is how you are to make it. The length of the ark is 300 cubits. Its width 50 cubits, and its height 30 cubits. Make a window for the ark and complete it to a cubit from above. And set the door of the ark in its side. Make it with lower, second, and third decks. And see, I myself am bringing flood waters on the eretz to destroy all flesh, in which is the breath of life from under the Shemayim. All that is on the eretz is to die. And I shall establish my covenant with you. And you shall come into the ark, you and your sons and your Asha, and your sons' wives with you. And of all the living creatures of all flesh, 2 of each kind, you are to bring into the ark to keep them alive with you, a male and a female, of the birds after their kind, and of the cattle after their kind, and of all creeping creatures of the eretz after their kind. 2 of each are to come to you, to keep them alive. As for you, take of all food that is eaten, and gather it to yourself. And it shall be food for you and for them. And Noah did according to all that Elohim commanded him, so he did. And that is the end of BARASHITH Genesis 6. This is BARASHITH Genesis 7. And Yahuwah said to Noah, come into the ark, you and all your household, because I have seen that you are obedient before me in this generation. Of all the clean beasts, take with you 7 pairs, a male and his female. And of the beasts that are unclean, 2, a male and his female. And of birds of the Shemayim, 7 pairs, male and female, to keep offspring alive on the face of all the eretz. For after 7 more yomim I am sending rain on the eretz, 40 yomim and 40 leilas, and shall wipe from the face of the eretz all that stand that I created. And Noah did according to all that Yahuwah commanded him. Now Noah was 600 years old when the flood mayim were on the eretz. And Noah and his sons and his Asher and his sons' wives went into the ark because of the mayim of the flood, of the clean beasts, and of the beasts that are unclean, and of birds, and of all that creep on the earths. 2 by 2 went into the ark to Noah, male and female, as Elohim had commanded Noah. And it came to be after 7 yomim that the mayim of the flood were on the earths. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th yom of the month, on that yom all the fountains of the great deep were broken up, and the windows of the Shemayim were opened, and the rain was on the earth 40 yomim and 40 leilas. On that same yom, Noah and Shem and Ham and Japheth, the sons of Noah, and Noah's Asher, and the 3 wives of his sons with them, went into the ark, they and every living creature after its kind, and every beast after its kind, and every creeping creature that creeps on the earth after its kind, and every bird after its kind, every bird of every sort. And they went into the ark to Noah, 2 by 2, of all flesh, and which is the breath of life. And those going in, male and female, of all flesh, went in as Elohim had commanded him. And Yahuwah shut him in. And the flood was on the earth 40 yomim. And the mayim increased and lifted up the ark, and it rose high above the earth. And the mayim were mighty and greatly increased on the earth. And the ark moved about on the surface of the mayim. And the mayim were exceedingly mighty on the earth. And all the high mountains under all the Shemayim were covered. The mayim became mighty, 15 cubits upward, and the mountains were covered. And all flesh died that moved on the earth, birds and cattle and beasts and every creeping creature that creeps on the earth, and all mankind, all in whose nostrils was the breath of the Spirit of life. All that was on the dry land died. So he wiped up all that stand, which were on the face of the ground, both man and beast, creeping creature and bird of the Shemayim. And they were wiped off from the earth, and only Noah was left, and those with him in the ark. And the mayim were mighty on the earth 150 yomim. And that is the end of Barashith Genesis 7. This is Barashith Genesis 8. And Elohim remembered Noah, and all the beasts and all the cattle that were with him in the ark. And Elohim made a wind to pass over the RUACH, and the Mayim subsided, and the fountains of the deep and the windows of the Shemayim were stopped, and the rain from the Shemayim was withheld, and the Mayim receded steadily from the RUACH. And at the end of the 150 Yomim, the Mayim diminished. And in the 7th month, the 17th Yom of the month, the ark rested on the mountains of Ararat. And the Mayim decreased steadily until the 10th month, and in the 10th month, on the 1st Yom of the month, the tops of the mountains became visible. And it came to be at the end of 40 Yomim that Noah opened the window of the ark which he had made, and he sent out a raven, which kept going out and turning back, until the Mayim had dried up from the RUACH. Then he sent out a dove from him to see if the Mayim had receded from the face of the ground. But the dove found no resting place for its feet, and returned into the ark to him, for the Mayim were on the face of all the RUACH. So he put out his hand and took it and pulled it into the ark to himself. And he waited yet another 7 Yomim. And again he sent the dove out from the ark. And the dove came to him in the evening, and see, a freshly plucked olive leaf was in its mouth. And Noah knew that the Mayim had receded from the RUACH. And he waited yet another 7 Yomim, and sent out the dove, which did not return to him again. And it came to be in the 601st year, in the 1st month, the 1st Yom of the month, that the Mayim were dried up from the RUACH. And Noah removed the covering of the ark, and looked, and so the surface of the ground was dry. And in the 2nd month, on the 27th Yom of the month, the RUACH was dry. And Elohim spoke to Noah, saying, Go out of the ark, you and your Asha, and your sons' wives with you. Bring out with you every living creature of all flesh that is with you, of birds, of cattle, and of all creeping creatures that creep on the RUACH. And let them multiply on the earth, and be fruitful and increase on the RUACH. So Noah went out, and his sons and his Asha, and his sons' wives with him, every beast, every creeping creature, and every bird, whatever creeps on the RUACH. according to their kinds, went out of the ark. And Noah built an altar to Yahuwah, and took of every clean beast and of every clean bird, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And Yahuwah smelled a soothing fragrance. And Yahuwah said in his heart, never again shall I curse the ground because of man, although the inclination of man's heart is evil from his youth. And never again smite all living creatures, as I have done, as long as the earths remain, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and winter and summer, and Yom and Layla shall not cease. This is the end of BARASHITH Genesis 8. Thank you, Elohim. Praise you, Elohim.